In this lecture, we will go through the Unreal Engine Editor interface. Let's start from the top. This is the menu bar. It's used to access editor-specific commands and functionality. There's a lot of stuff here that we'll explore as we progress. I don't want to overwhelm you with information on how to do things until we need it for the purposes of lectures. One thing I want to mention, though, is to display 4 content browsers and world settings right at the start of any project you create. Expand the Window tab and make sure you place checks on all available content browsers. This will allow you to have 4 content browser tabs simultaneously. It's very handy since you could always keep certain folders open for quick access to your assets. You can dock the content browsers like this. I prefer to keep them at the bottom of the editor interface like this. In every project I start, I also drag out world settings so that they can be accessed quickly. I like to dock them next to the Details tab like this. Please, while you're learning, try to place the tabs the way I place them so that it's easier for you to follow the lectures. After you're done with learning, you can adjust the location of the tabs to your liking. This is the main toolbar. We will be using it a lot, so let's go through some of the shortcuts available in the main toolbar. The first button here is obviously dedicated to saving, right? Well, it's a specific type of save as it saves changes that are made only in the level. For instance, if we move, rotate, or scale the asset in the editor window, our changes won't be saved until we press this save button. However, this save button won't save changes we made inside blueprints, so be careful. Now, let me teach you how to identify unsaved changes so you can easily sort out for yourself what requires saving. For the purposes of this lecture, I will make 2 changes. Firstly, I will move this asset a bit. Secondly, I will make slight edits in one of the blueprints. Please don't mind the blueprint for the moment, since we will go through blueprints in depth in the relevant lectures. For now, it's sufficient simply to understand that I only made a slight change to it. Basically, I created a custom event within the blueprint. At the moment, it does nothing. Now I will click this button here that will open a tab where all of my unsaved changes are listed. As you see, there are 2 unsaved changes here. The one I made in the level and the one I made in a blueprint. Let's close this tab. Now let's click on this Save button. Now let's return to the tab with unsaved changes. As you can see, even though I clicked on the Save button previously, the changes I made in the blueprint aren't saved. So be careful when using this Save button. Please remember that it only saves changes that are made in the level. What to do to save everything? Well, there are 3 common ways that come to my mind. You can either click on File and click Save All, or click on this button to see all the unsaved changes. Choose the ones you want to save and click Save. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Shift and S. The latter is my favorite. Be sure to keep everything that needs saving saved. Mind that even though Unreal Engine is quite a stable software, sometimes it crashes. If it crashes with unsaved changes, they will be gone as there is no proper way to restore them. That's all that I wanted to say about the Save button. Let's continue. This is mode selection. Basically, it is used to switch between different modes to edit content in the level. We will dive deep into these modes when it is necessary. This is a Create button. It's like a quick list of most commonly used assets for your level. For instance, you can add light to your level from here or add some simple shapes. This button allows you to quickly create or find an existing blueprint. Personally, I prefer another method to quickly create or find a blueprint, but you may want to use this way if you fancy. One important button here is the level blueprint. Basically, it's where you build the logic of the level itself. We will be using it a lot as we progress. This button deals with cinematics and level sequences. I usually use sequences to either create intro videos for the game or even control transformation of the assets within the level in the runtime. We'll be doing this in the relevant lecture, so I won't focus on it in the current lecture. If you want to test your game, you can play it directly in the editor window. I assume your Unreal Engine editor is open, so you can click this play button with me. See? You are already playing a game. This is where you test the world you created and how it responds. You also get a quick look and feel of the game. Trust me, you'll be doing it a lot. This button is used to advance a single frame in the game. As you can see, it is grayed out, but it will be operable if you pause the game. Usually you would want to do this for debugging purposes. The stop button will stop the runtime and return you to the edit mode. This eject button is quite handy when it comes to testing. When you click on it, you'll lose control of your character. However, you can see the world as if you were in edit mode. It's also a nifty feature for testing out your game. This button lets you repossess your character. Obviously, this red stop button will end simulation and return you to the edit mode. These three dots are options for play mode. You can either run the game in this viewport or in a new window. If you choose standalone mode, Unreal Engine will compile the game and let you experience it as someone who is playing your game. Simulate is used if you don't want to play as your character but simply observe how the world you created works. This expandable button has a series of options that you can use to configure and deploy your game to various platforms. We'll deal with this later. We have one final button in the main toolbar, the Settings button. It contains various game settings for editor, viewport, and game behavior in general. I'd like to focus your attention on these two settings. If your computer is operating slowly, these can be lifesavers. Just set engine scalability and material quality to low. This will ensure that your computer can breathe a bit easier. Plus, these settings don't affect the visual quality of the game you compile and publish. These settings only dictate the visual quality of the editor. Alright, let's pause here. Before you proceed, I strongly encourage you to get accustomed to shortcuts that are available in the main toolbar. As I mentioned previously, Unreal Engine has great feedback on practically every function there is within the engine. If you're not sure about any feature, simply hover your mouse over it, and a small box with a tip will appear. Sometimes the tooltips are less intuitive, but they will still give you an idea of what you are about to change. And no matter what you change in the main toolbar, you could always reset these changes by simply creating another project. In the next lecture, we will continue our acquaintance with the Unreal Engine editor. Thanks for watching.